Mama said that it was okay. Mama said that it was right, alright. Our kind of people had a bed for the night, and it was okay.
Hello, YouTube. I'm Rachel. This is Harriet. And at some point, hopefully, Betty the bird will be joining us too. Oh, there you go, Harriet. There you go. So, shit. Where are the questions? Fuck. 1 second. Let's start over. Okay. So, hello YouTube. I'm Rachel. This is Harriet, and this is your Q&A. Hopefully, Betty the bird will be joining us shortly. So, if you're watching this video, you probably are familiar with Harriet, the one-eyed cat, from Instagram. She has quite a bit of followers, and I decided to do a Q&A today on her behalf. So, let's get to it. The first question was asked by two different people, and those two people are Feline Chan and Dorian Lopez 1. They want to know what Harriet's favorite food is. So Harriet is actually on a prescription diet. She has been for most of her time with me. She is a little chubby, and I've worked with her very hard to get her to lose weight. So she currently eats Metabolic, which is made by Science Diet, or maybe Purina, I'd have to check, but the title of it is Metabolic, and that's what she eats. Unfortunately, she doesn't have the luxury of eating any yummy treats because we want her to lose weight. Cat Mom 240 wants to know how old Harriet is. Harriet is 14 years old. I've had her for 9 years. I got her when she was 5 years old, and I'll talk a bit about that in a few minutes. But she is currently 14 years old. She's getting up there in age, but she still acts like a kitten or like a young adult, which is really reassuring. Possum 1 Jazz wants to know if Harriet has always had one eye. The answer to that is no. Harriet has had one eye for 4 years. In July of 2013, I brought Harriet to see an ophthalmologist over at the MSPCA, the MSPCA, the Massachusetts Society for the Prevention of Cruelty Towards Animals. And I brought her there on the word of her regular vet who didn't like the way her right eye looked. The ophthalmologist looked at her eye and immediately said she has cancer and that they needed to remove it. So that was hard, and I didn't react well. You probably would have thought I had just been told that my firstborn child was dying. But I got through it, and so did Harriet. 2 days later, she had her eye removed. They did test her eye to, get it in writing that she had cancer, and it did come back as cancer. So removing her eye was the only option in being able to save her life. And she's still here, thank God. She does go back to the doctor, the ophthalmologist, every 3 to 4 months to have her left eye checked. The doctor said it could possibly spread to her left eye in the future, so we go back every few months to make sure that it doesn't, and if it does, we can catch it early and laser off versus having to remove that eye and making her completely blind. So that's where it stands, but with the grace of God, hopefully that does not happen. If the camera just shook, that's because Betty just flew onto it and then just flew off of it. You may have heard her screaming into the microphone as well. Dreamy Cartoons wants to know what Harriet likes to do all day. I would say she likes to, sleep and rest in the windows all day. Or, just look out the windows. She's lucky enough to have a lot of windows to choose from. And there's a lot of activity going on outside of my apartment since I live in downtown Boston. So there's always something in someone for her to look at, which is fun for her. I may pronounce this Instagram name incorrectly, so I apologize if I do. VV Artis wants to know how much Harriett weighs. Harriett weighs 19 pounds. As mentioned, she is on a prescription diet. Betty the Bird. So we're trying to get her to lose weight. We've been trying to get her to lose weight. She was, at one point in her life, 22 pounds. So she's made progress, and we're continuing to make that progress going forward. Agrello 1964 asked both Betty and Harriett a question. So she wants to know what Harriet's day-to-day life is like with Betty and Pickles flying around. And she also wants to know if she can see all of us on camera. I believe, Betty's on camera right now. I think you guys just saw Pickles as well. And at the beginning you saw Harriett. She's since moved on and is over making the video. I prefer to let her do her own thing. I don't want to try to force her to stay on the couch or camera because I feel like that would give her anxiety. So at some point during the video, you'll have seen all of us. But their day-to-day life is pretty laid back. The birds do fly around even when I'm not home because they're potty trained and they aren't really bothered by Harriett. She doesn't pursue them. She doesn't go after them. If they do get too close to her, she may look at them with a dirty face and, raise her hand as if she's going to whack them, but she doesn't whack them. So I'd say they have a civil relationship at best. Nobody's in danger or anything like that, so I'm very lucky in that sense. And another name I may mispronounce. And again, I apologize if I do. Mino Kadhar. Does Harriett like to play or does she like to sleep more? I'd say it's 50-50. She's resting right now, but she does play a lot. She has a lot of toys. She likes to toss them around. She likes to attack them. And she likes to have fun with them. So I'd say it's 50-50. When she is done playing, she will take a nice long cat nap and get cozy. I would too if I were her. Cat naps are fun. Ledoux Schatz, I may have mispronounced that as well. It's a French name. Wants to know if Harriett ever goes on any leash adventures in Boston. Unfortunately, she doesn't. Surprisingly, today there was an event in Boston, in the Boston Common, called Catterday. It was scheduled originally for yesterday, but it got rained out, so they had it today, where a bunch of cat owners could bring their cats and have them socialize and interact with each other and have them get out of their apartments on leash so that they could get more enrichment in their lives. Unfortunately, Harriett is terrified of everyone and everything, with the exception of myself, a couple of close friends, my mother, and Betty and Pickles. Everyone else, she's quite scared, and it takes her some time to warm up to people. So it wouldn't be fair to bring her to an event like that. But for other cats who aren't as scared or shy, it's a really great event. So unfortunately, Harriett doesn't go out on any leash adventures, but I've had cats in the past who have, and if I ever get another cat in the future who is open to that and likes being outside on leash, then it's something I would definitely consider for them. Suzanne Fife, who I believe is also from Boston, wants to know if Harriett has a favorite place to order sushi from and what her favorite roll is. So The irony of the whole sushi thing is I actually don't eat sushi. I'm vegetarian, which I don't believe should make a difference because, as far as I'm aware, there are vegetarian sushi rolls. Nevertheless, I unfortunately haven't eaten any. And obviously, Harriet's on prescription diet, so she doesn't either. But I'd say that if she were to have sushi, she'd probably want to order a roll with tuna in it. I think she'd like that, and I think that would make her happy. Holly SMJ wants to know, excuse me. Holly SMJ wants to know how Harriett came to live with me, Betty, and Pickles. Harriett, I actually got Harriett before I got Betty and Pickles. I got each one of them separately, but she was my first out of the three. I had a cat named Buttons prior to Harriett, and Buttons had just passed away at the age of 20, and I was grieving really badly over her. And I needed someone to draw my focus away from the pain that I was feeling and the grief. So I decided to help another cat that didn't have a home in the same fashion that I had helped Buttons. So I went to the Massachusetts Society for the Prevention of Cruelty Towards Animals. They have a shelter there for animals that need to be rehomed. And I found Harriett. There were a lot of cats there, and I, spent hours playing with each of them, spending time with them. And I came to choose Harriett because everybody was passing her by. All of the other cats would come up to you, they'd play, they'd rub up against you and want to be pet. But she had her back turned to everyone and was just sleeping in her tiny little cage. And it was as if she felt that people weren't interested in her, and so she was just going to sleep it away. I decided to open the door to her cage and start petting her back. And she immediately looked up and quietly got up, sat up, and came to the front of the cage and let me pet her some more. So that just told me she was a really, really sweet cat who was willing to let you love her, but she wanted to know that you wanted to love her. So I did love her. It made me fall in love with her, and I brought her home that day. And we've been together ever since. It's been 9 years, and hopefully it will be 9 more years or more. Cap's dogs. Oh, sorry. Okay, so this is the last question by Cap's dog. Cap's dog wants to know if Harriett likes being an Instagram celebrity. Harriett has no idea that she's on Instagram or that she's a celebrity. I think if she did, she'd like it. I think she'd be modest and she'd show humility. Betty, on the other hand, I think... Oh, she just landed on the camera again. I think Betty, on the other hand, is a ham and would love it even more so than Harriett. So they're not too aware of it, but I think they would like it if they were. Those are all of the questions we got today. It was definitely a good experience. Sorry for the camera if it keeps shaking. Betty just flew off of it again. But yeah, it's been a good experience being on Instagram with Betty and Harriett. And thanks for your questions. We really enjoyed answering them. Hopefully you got to see them at some point during the video. I wish Harriett would have stayed on camera more, but definitely don't want to stress her out with forcing her to stay here. But yeah, please subscribe. Harriett's going to have more videos coming out, lots more Q&As, some fun, little drama series, or, maybe a music video, something like that. But she's going to have a lot more videos coming out, so please subscribe. Please follow her on Instagram, and please follow Betty on Instagram as well. Thanks, and I will see you guys later.